What's going on, guys? William Barry here, coming at you live from the power of the internet. And a Mr. Walker said he would chip in and throw you something that sounds a little bit different. So wrap your ears around PROF's Myself. This one's pretty unique as far as PROF goes. It's almost a spoken word piece, so I think you'll appreciate it. Cheers, brother. Man, cheers to you, my friend. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to get into this video. Always looking to see even a deeper side to PROF. Moreover, if you would like to make a request here on this channel, you can do so over at buymeacoffee.com/losttogod. That's buymeacoffee.com/losttogod. All right, let's not jump into some long breakdown of what we're about to do. Let's just get it. Let's just full dick, full send jump, dog. You know what I mean? Like we always do here on this channel, bro. My buddy is give me a hard time. He's like, reaction channels just always pre-watch that shit. And I'm like, I wish I was smart enough to do that. I would make so many less mistakes. All right, guys, let's do it. Oh, I should probably pause my music. Look at me being an asshole over here. Not looking professional, sir.
My parents got some big money problems. We're all young and we're counting on them. I'm 4 years old, you think I'm bouncing on them? I just sit back and watch, thinking about them.
That's such a crazy concept, man. Like, so I understand the thought process that Republicans operate under, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But it kind of ignores such an important element of who you are. The most fundamental part of your life, you don't get to pick what happens to you. You don't get to pick where you're born, to what family. You know what I mean? Like, all of these choices are made for you. You're born into a world that is terrible and disgusting, and, maybe your parents aren't the best, Now, good people can come from any situation, and the content of a character is always shown when there's any force of, like, what's the word? Pressure? Like, in moments of crisis, that's when you find out what type of person you are. So, I mean, just because you're born into shittier stuff doesn't mean you can't rise above it or anything like that. And I am saying that we all have some form of responsibility. But along coming with that idea of accepting responsibility for who you are, you also have to accept responsibility for the things that aren't in your control, like in a different way. You have to be knowingly giving away that level of control. So many people think that just by admitting that they're a piece of shit, that it's okay. That's only the process to start inflecting on who you are as a person, or reflecting on who you are as a person. You still have to do the work. You just can't say I'm an asshole and then, everyone just has to accept you as an asshole for the rest of time. You have to at least show some forward progression on becoming a better person. You know what I mean? That's just the goal. But just as you have to accept responsibility for the things that you've done, you also have to accept that things were done to you, that you didn't have a say in it. And sometimes relinquishing that control can offer you peace. That doesn't mean that you don't, own up to the things that you need to do as a person. It's just sometimes you started behind in a race and it's not fair.
I just sit back and watch, thinking about them. Mom's probably stronger than Pops is. The talk is that the old man has lost it. Last week he came back from work. I saw him on the porch with a glass of milk in his shirt. He was flipping out. Mom probably put it there. Judging by how angry that she was, it probably should be there. Now both folks know that I'm standing there. Mama protects me, throws me behind her back. Why did Papa do that?
Now, this is something that I'll never understand, how the men of modern America lost some of these really important aspects of what it means to be a man. Now, yes, I will say that for a long time in America, the idea of masculinity has been under attack. But that's just because some forms of masculinity can be toxic. There is a world where destroyers and madmen and angry people and warriors need to exist. We don't live in a world with peace and harmony. These people that are more akin to the animal that's inside them, do exist, and they're among you every day. We just need to find good vectors for them to release that aggression, and good vectors for them to like use that to rebuild. Like, I think it's so crazy that like Joe Rogan, who is like one of the biggest guys and advocates for like this level of masculinity, used to be willing to talk about things about being a warrior in a garden instead of a gardener in a war. And he's run with this like philosophy in such a way that it's actually almost damaged the entire principle of it. Like, the principle that Musashi Miyamoto was talking about, or Keiji Maeda, or Yukimura Sanada, or even all the way back to Sun Tzu when they were talking about the art of war, is that when you have to wrestle with your own internal darkness, and you have to understand that when you're doing things, no level of scrutiny or safety from the government is going to help you deal with that. Like, it's not going to be an effective like bludgeon or shield to protect you from the things that you're doing. You have to descend into darkness to defend your home. You have to do things that are unconscionable, and you should learn how to do those things as a man. If you are ever going to be someone who defends a homestead, you do need to know how to be someone capable of great evil. But the whole point is learning how to master that evil so that you can be a warrior in any one of these situations. That you can be someone who can garden, or you can be someone who can have an effective relationship that is open with a woman. You don't have to be one of these monsters all the time. The point of being a warrior in a garden is that you have mastered being a warrior. The ultimate claim to a warrior is knowing when to lay down their weapon. That's why in like the ancient, during the Sengoku era of Japan, a lot of warriors became poets and thinkers because they weren't just fighting for the sake of fighting. They just weren't big, dumb fucking idiots that hit each other in the face. They had principles. They had things that drove them to do what they wanted to do. They wanted to make effective change in the world, and they thought that violence was the only way to do that. It's crazy how these guys just don't operate under that like same lens anymore. They just take the warrior part and they just stay on it. Yeah, we need to be ready. Like, bro, anyone who's ever served in the military knows that they have to train the warrior inside you to be an effective tool. You can't just be an unhinged fucking loon screaming into the void. Fuck.
Folks know that I'm standing there. Mama protects me, throws me behind her back. Why did Papa do that? What's that telling me?
Right, yeah, like, it's not even like standing up to someone who is way bigger than you is real strength. If you have all of the effective like advantages and then you go around pushing people that are weaker than you, that isn't manly. No man should say, hell yeah, brother, teach that bitch a lesson. Like, no, an effective man does not beat his wife or child. An effective man leads through unity. Now, sometimes he has to be stern. You should be capable of being stern and not a pushover to your fucking kids or even to your wife or your girlfriend. You should be able to authorate yourself as an individual and say that I deserve to be respected regardless of my gender. But like the fact that men these days are just okay with this shit. Okay, bro.
Birds can't help but sing a melody.
True.
I ain't stupid. Happy ever after is nothing but a fantasy. Police.
Bro, he's not wrong, okay? Like, it is a fantasy. It's a fairy tale ending. But like, you can have a happily ever after. It's just you have to keep working on it. And there's going to be days where it's not that. And there are things that you have to learn and work on and grow. Like, it's just not one day you become a good person. Every day you're tasked with whether or not you're going to be a good person. And some days you're going to fail and some days you're going to not. Hopefully the days that where you don't fail are the bigger sum of who you are as a person. But even in your weakest of moments, this is why the Bible used to say beautiful things, that the meek will inherit the earth, that even if you are someone who is insignificant in the grand scheme of things, that you can enact change. Sometimes that's just by being defiant and saying, no, I will not bend the knee. Like, bro, Jon Snow was a gangster because he never bent the fucking, bruh, till he did.
These are part of our family. Son and mother look out from the porch, see father's head dug under the door. I believe in nothing. I believe in myself.
Yeah! Bro, when people ask me like where my ethics come from or where morality derives from, I don't need some grand religion to point this out to me. I don't need some school of thought. I come to understand that at the end of the day, all of us just believe in ourselves to some form of another. Like if you listen to the Bible, you're literally just interpreting what you think the Bible means. You might be using an outside vector, but you're ultimately just believing in yourself. You're reaffirming a belief that you're putting into the world. Now you can use the Bible kind of as like moral oughts and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's your own interpretation to it. The only real successful answer to say what is the meaning of life or what any of this is just the stuff that I choose to make happen and invent. Like I believe in myself. Now, that doesn't mean that like you don't have a moral framework. It just means that every time something springs into your life, you have to like harken back to that same moral code that you placed on yourself in youth and however you developed it from wherever you developed it. Most of us pull inspirations from various different directions. From, what did we grow up listening to? What music helped influence us? What culture was permeating at the time? So much of that can help influence who you are today. And that's kind of what he's getting at so far in this song, because he's essentially he's telling the story of how he was essentially shaped. And the way that he was shaped is going to be based off of both environmental cues and genetic cues. Those are just the way that works. Environment versus nature versus nurture. That's the argument that essentially he's going into, and how these things can have a negative effect on you, but also a positive effect. I think at one time my girlfriend said she wished he met me earlier so I wouldn't be as far down the negative, like the radicalization pipeline. But a part of me is so happy that like, though I would like to have the opportunity to have her sooner in my life, I think it would have been less of effective for me. I think knowing the things that I've learned and walking the path that I did helped shape me to who I am. And though I would love to have more time with the person I love, there's nothing about me that I would change. I do like that I've went down those paths and had those radical moments. And I think that despite the failures that I, brandished in those times, I think they made me a better person in the long run. But that's just my own interpretation.
My papa got some big anger problems. I'm getting older and I'm sick about them. It's getting harder just to live around it. I need to take a stand as a man. I need to be about it. So ring around the posy round the living room table. I can't remember what we were arguing about. I stood up to the scariest man in the country. I held my head high as I left the house.
So that's strength. And this is something that again, living as a bisexual guy that lived in California, during the early 90s and early 2000s when the F word was a constant slur. Hell, I said it nonstop, man. In a Republican home with Republican parents. And then, I called my dad a few years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, or no, actually a year ago. And I told him, Dad, I'm bisexual. And just hearing the disappointment in his voice and the idea that he thinks that the woke mind virus got me. That's what he thinks. The woke mind virus. Despite the fact that when I was 14 years old, I was jerking off to emo boys in fucking the tightest pants you've ever seen, because my God, that shit blurred the line when I was in high school. The early 2000s were a great time, man. Low-rise jeans. The boys and girls were wearing them, and bro, there was no looking away. And I remember back then, dude, just being blown the fuck away by it. Honestly, what started my journey was a game called Guilty Gear, where I saw Bridget for the first time when I was, I think, 14 or 13. And then finding various forms of pornographic content that had futanari in it that helped radicalize me in a different direction. And ever since then, it's been a big portion of my life. And to hear that, I just caught a mind virus. It's like, sure. Or I like guys in dresses. I don't. Or really tight jeans. It's okay, whatever. Like, standing up to your father is like one of the most like manly things you can do. And even when your father has good intentions or the right thing, or they're just doing what they were taught, sometimes that's choking to the person that's with them. This is why so many early movies in the early 2000s talked about things like, listening to your kids. It's not enough just to provide for them. Sometimes you have to be there. Now, luckily, my father was a really good man, despite his thoughts about gay stuff. Like, he was always there, and he's always supported me anytime I've needed him. But just to know that you're a disappointment for just being who you were created to be by the God they fucking jerk off to, it's riveting.
Little boy stood in the face of a dragon, left with the heart of a lion. Amazing.
Facts. That's
Funny,
right.
I left the house so it could cool down, but the dragon stayed hot. Who's a fool now? Papa and the devil sitting in the basement. ARSONING. Young.
Like, dude, this is why it's so crazy. Because, like, there's nothing wrong with challenging your father's authority. And I think Freud even said at one point that you have to. Now, he linked it to, like, wanting to fuck your mom or something, which whatever, bro. Like, if you, like, I think he was just a pervert sometimes. And, like, he was a womanizing asshole. So, I mean, I think we know that to be true these days. But, like, when your kid stands up to you, that should be a moment of pride where you're like, fuck yeah. But anger is like this disgusting thing that's a requirement for people to exist. In a moment when your kid stands up to you and you don't feel pride, but you're mad that how dare he challenge you, you're probably not a good father or a good person at that point.
Young son headed back to the household, running down the block, 8 fire trucks deep. Fell to my knees and I screamed in the front yard. Firemen running around like no one's in charge. Sort of like when it rains, it pours. See the flames burst out of the door. I believe.
Damn, bro. Yeah. I mean, it's not, when it rains, it pours is a true statement. If you look to God and challenge him to make your life harder, whatever that God is will find a way. The universe does not like when people think that it's its equal. Your job is to be a subservient thing, learning through pain. When you get a big head of yourself, the universe provides for better or worse.
I believe in myself. I believe in nothing.
I ain't gonna lie, this is my favorite song so far, bro. I feel this rage in me, bro. Like, fuck yeah. Like, musically, it's not the best song, you know what I mean? Like, if you were going to show the best song in the world to, like, an alien attacking Earth, it's not going to be this. But, like, the like, resonant core that's, like, at the heart of this song is everything and what music is supposed to be. A person expressing their pain, their story, and their life in the only way that they know how. Packaged in, like, a beautifully sounding, well-versed spoken, track. Like, that's what music is, man. It's a brief glimpse into someone's rules, ideology, and life, filtered through something that sounds slightly more pleasant than them just talking to you.
I've learned a lifetime as a boy. Evil's on the inside.
Bro! It's so dope that when something that I've been preaching my whole life gets, like, representation in a song. Also, just, like, mad respect to Prof here, because one of the things that I've always told people is that I'm a gigantic, prolific man-child, and that growing up to me is akin to death. My version of growing up is dying. So, my boy, dude! Like, he didn't say that explicitly, but, like, I could infer that based on what he says.
Evil's on the inside, waiting for. Got an apartment, a I'm 20 years old, finally thinking I have everything under control. It's been years since I spoke to the man when he gave me his old cutlass to get out of the sand.
Yeah, dude. And like, that's even cool. Look, I'm not going to speak ill of PROF's father. Like, I don't really know anything about the man. Right now, we're just talking about how it, well, maybe he did some bad shit. Look, whatever. Even in that, he still gave away his car, dude. You know what I mean? Like, there was still a sacrifice from him to his kid. Like, even the worst of us are people with a heart. You know what I mean? And not even to say he's the worst of us. Like, there are people out there that do way more terrible shit than get rowdy and loud and physical with their wife and kids. Now, I'm not defending it by any means, and if he actually did damage anyway, he should go to jail. But, who are we to make too much of a judgment? This is their family, you know what I mean? He's just sharing his story with us. But even in that moment, it's cool to see this dad did some good.
Gave me his old cutlass to get out of the sand. So just like a hyena, I take the meat and then I run my ass away. You need to let me be. But over time, a part of me knew I needed to speak. That's right when the world decided that it couldn't be. It's the biggest hurdle, thinking past tense. Like when a strong man takes his last breath. I believe in nothing.
Yeah, dude, I'm liking it. See, like, I imagine that later in life, if PROF is not good on terms with his parents now, he will probably be good terms with his father and mother. You know what I mean? Like, there's an eventuality where people, especially as you age, man, you stop wanting to hold on to animosity and hate, and you just want to have people around that you knew when you were younger, that has seen your story and where you've grown from, and they can make you feel that level of, like, recognition that they saw where you came from and where you are today. And having those people around probably means the world to you when you're adrift and feeling like nothing means anything. Not to say that we should all forgive the people of our past. I'm not saying that at all. But a good person eventually tends to. Like, there are people out there who have forgiven the people that killed their kids, you know what I mean? Like, that's a world I don't think I could ever live in personally, but mad respect to anyone who can have that kind of strength, courage, and commitment to being a better person, even at what the cost it was for them to get there. Like, that's some hurdles I don't think you're supposed to beat, and then you meet motherfuckers that do it, and you're like, that's fucking wild, man.
I believe in nothing. I believe in myself. I believe in nothing. Nothing at all.
Like, the minimal music actually serves a really good point here. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about, like, not like proper music theory, because that's not, look, dude, I am not a educated individual. Everything you're hearing just comes from secondhand knowledge of a life of constant failures. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, just for safety and precaution. If you hear anything you like, double check it later on in life. Trust me. Some of us operate on truisms, and it's a dangerous game. Something that's really important, though, about music is that if you are making a lyrical track where the words mean the most, you don't want to have music that is clashing with it. So he's adding some ambiotic music to it. It's got enough of a beat for something that you can, like, listen to, keep you engaged, keep you focused on the words, but it's all minimal. It's minimally placed to increase the dramatic effect of the word. And on top of that, he's gone and layered his lyrics for dramatic effect at multiple different points. It's not like he went and got different singers or anything like that. He just redid his voice on 3 to 6 different occasions and put it throughout to give it a little bit more fullness. And then some of them he put off filter a little bit so that, like, there would be, like, echoes and drags of it about, like, probably potentially a kid arguing with himself in his own head. It's actually a brilliant musical production for what he's doing. It just doesn't make for the best song. but sometimes things aren't just for listening value. Like if you're listening to something from Taylor Swift, it is built to be a song all the way through. And that's the music theory of it. Like it's just to be just engaging enough to make you want to dance and not engaging enough to make you actually think. They design music like that on purpose, where the words are vague enough to apply to anybody and nothing is named, stated, or anything. This is not one of those songs. This is a song that's telling you a story from a particular perspective and giving out a world ideology and worldview that is intrinsic to the individual. This is meant to demand your attention, and minimal lyrics help provide, or not lyrics, but minimal production in the music itself help provide that. They never are overbearing to the actual song itself, or what we would call the song. That water look gross though, bro. Man, as always, dude, Prof always brings it. Another personal thank you to Tom, and just another thank you for all the people that have managed to support this channel. Not even just buy me a coffee, but have given out super chats and stuff like that. Those of you that follow my weird journeys and my ranting and ravings on the internet, I like every one of you have managed to give me a platform that I don't think that I honestly deserve, but I'm so glad to have even a handful of you enjoy the content that I put out there. You know, it means a lot to me to know that, you know, despite my failures as an individual growing up and working in so many different professions, that through all of that, I still managed to find a handful of people that seem to give a shit about what I have to say about a particular topic. It means a lot, especially when so many of the people of my past have told me that I would mean nothing, amount to nothing, and just be a fucking loser. And though many of them have been fully correct in that, just having a handful of people seem to make that harsh judgment not feel as real, you know? That's kind of cool, man. It's kind of like I'm getting my, like, fuck you moment, you know what I mean? Like, fuck off, bro. Anyway, guys, look, it is Friday. It's party night, you know what I mean? Get out there. People are protesting still. Like, what if you do? Take to the streets, scream, bro. Let them hear it. Or if you're just going out to get fucked up, you know? Me? I want to pick up some weed, bro. I pulled enough money out of my account. We managed to make about, I think, $90 on Buy Me a Coffee this month, and hopefully I get the remainder of my money from YouTube, and I get paid from YouTube this month. If not, it'll be the second month without money, but hey, I only need it to pay a phone bill. Anyway, guys, have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much. It means the world, and again, party as hard as you can. Whether that's watching Twilight tonight on your couch with your girlfriend, or if you're alone like my old roommate Todd because he loved it for some reason, or if that means going out with the boys and doing cocaine off of a hooker's ass, like whatever, dude. Or if it means tearing down a federal building for housing ICE, whatever your party is, man, do it as hard as you can do it safely. All right, just make sure you get home to your wife, kids, and family. And or your husbando, like because you know some women watch this channel. I don't know why, but we applaud you, ladies, for putting up with my bullshit. All right, guys, have yourself a wonderful day. Love you guys. Be fucking safe. And Prof, I know you'll never see this. Thank you for sharing such an intimate story with us, man. I know that I'm just a fucking nobody on the internet, and it doesn't matter. But your stories resonate for a good reason. They mean a lot to a lot of people. And for that alone, you should be very proud of the work that you've put out there. I'm proud to even get to witness it myself. So thank you for continuing to make a product for me out here to enjoy. Have yourself a wonderful day, King. And for the rest of you, be safe.
Future uncertain, wide as the sea. I see a chance to be freed from apathy. You, my muse, my mirror, my light. From broken blues to sleepless nights, I write my failures into stars, constellations of who we are. Through every scar, the truth remains. We lose to learn what love sustains. In pursuit of tomorrow.